Hi everyone, this is Guillaume Paper, and today's video will be a bit of an update video. I have no idea how long it's going to be. It will be a bit less structured, even less structured than normally. But I just wanted to talk you through my planners that I've been using during the past 2 months, really, because I haven't shown you anything at the end of January. I think maybe I don't remember. But today I want to show you how my planners, how I'm doing in my planners and what I'm liking, what I've changed. I don't want to make this too much of a techo kaigi, but it might end up being exactly that. Let's see, I have 4 planners today that I want to show you. And let's start with the easiest one, and that's this one. I'm not going to show you the inside because that is just for me, but this is my gratitude journal and just a little bit of daily journaling each day. I've been really liking this so far. It's going great. I haven't missed a single day. I have backfilled once or twice, but usually I do this either just before I go to bed or first thing when I wake up in the morning. I'll sit down with my coffee and I'll write an entry for the day before because often I'm just too tired when I go to bed and I don't really feel like sitting down to write. Whereas in the morning, that's usually something I really enjoy doing. It's kind of a peaceful start of the day. So if I know that I have the time the next morning, then I'll just leave it and do it then. But it's going great so far. And I'm really liking this. I'm also using this as an opportunity to try out various inks because I often write in this with my dip pen. So that means that I can use any ink that I haven't inked in a pen at the moment, or that maybe I don't really want to ink in a pen because I feel like I wouldn't really write entire pages with it, but I do enjoy writing just a short little entry. So that's going great so far. It's a fun thing to just, sit down in the morning and look at my collection of various inks and say, okay, today I'm going to write a couple sentences with this random ink. Then next up, we have probably the saddest story of the bunch, and that is my media journal. Now, you might recall that in, I think it was November, maybe December, I set up this media journal. And this is actually a Hobonichi Weeks that I decorated with these lovely cat stickers. And I'm so happy with how this planner looks. But I found out that while using it, I'll show you that, for example, like these are some of the weekly pages. So what I did in here is I would write down, for example, the show that I was watching or the book that I was reading, and underneath it I wrote which episodes I watched or which chapters I read. It's just a sort of a media log. Then on the right side, my idea was to journal a bit about my media consumption of that week. So for example, if there was like a really cool episode of a show that we're watching, then I would write something about that, or if I finished a book. But ultimately, I feel like this was a lot of work. It's not that much work, obviously, but when you have a lot of journals, then it sort of starts to accumulate, and filling it out, I feel like it shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be either something that's really helpful, which is like just making a daily to-do list, a daily schedule for myself. That's not always something that I enjoy, but it is really helpful. Or it should be something that serves a different purpose. For example, just, having fun, relaxing, or winding down. And that is what the rest of my planners are for me. But this one was starting to become neither of that. So in the beginning, I really enjoyed filling it out, but then that very quickly, I felt like, I've fallen behind. I need to backfill, and it just was a bit too much. But the one thing that I did enjoy writing down, even if it's probably the most pointless thing of the entire journal, was just writing down the name of the show or the book or the movie that we watched or read, or that I watched or read. I watch a lot of things together with my partner. But just like writing that down on that specific day and having sort of a snapshot of what sort of media I was consuming during that week, and also just keeping track, where I am in the show, keeping track of the episodes. So I did really enjoy that. So then I figured, why not do that in my weekly planner? I had enough space left, so it was actually kind of easy to just condense that into one planner. So for this year, I don't really know how I'm going to use this planner up. I might just keep it to try out some various layouts, sort of as a, let's say, research and development journal, where I can just sort of research different layouts, try something out, or I'm just going to use up the paper because it is gorgeous paper, obviously. And I bought the Weeks Mega for this, so I have a ton of notes pages. But rest assured, these will not go to waste. Absolutely not. So that is a bit of a sad story, but I feel like I should show you and just tell you how that went, and that maybe next year I really, like, obviously, if you watched my lineup of planners that I was going to use for this year, you probably thought that is too much. You are not going to keep up with that. And, you were right. But I did really want to try that. And, I might have also discovered that some things are really nice to do in a planner. And so it's a bit of an experiment. However, I'm really enjoying this one so far. This is a sterlingink weekly planner in it's called the N1. It's basically a traveler's regular size. I have the compact version, which has less note pages because I don't need that many notes pages. But what I'm doing in here is I'm tracking a couple of things that I will show you in just a bit. But I'm also doing a bit of weekly planning. So basically what this is to me is an overview of appointments I have for the week, a bit of brain dumping on some things that I want to get done that week, but that I haven't scheduled in yet. I usually do this the week before, so I know that when I start making my daily to-do list, I look back at this and I'm like, okay, so at some point in this week, I want to have this done. Can I do that today, or do I have time tomorrow or later in the week? And also a bit of reminders. But what I was realizing was that often I would have a lot of empty space. So that's when I started to realize that I could just implement that I could just put write down here the same things that I did in my media journal. But that way I could skip all of the journaling that I wanted to do in my media journal, and that was starting to feel like a chore. And I could just keep track of shows and books, etc. So that's what I started to do right around the beginning of February. So immediately you can see that these pages look fuller and more used, and that's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, this is starting to really work the way I wanted to, which is nice. I also, in the beginning, I decorated this with the same materials that I was using for that specific week in my A5 planner, so that it sort of corresponded, which I thought was just a little fun thing to do. However, I also thought that sometimes that was a bit limiting, and I just wanted to do something else here. So what I'm doing now, and what I'm really, really liking, is using these tearaway calendar pages for decoration. This literally takes me like less than a minute. The thing that takes up the most time is actually thinking, which page do I want to use? But I have this gorgeous calendar. I actually forgot the brand, but it's called a morning calendar. And it has these beautiful, beautiful photography for each day. And I just, look at that. It's a little cat. But I just love this. Like, almost, I'd say that 95% of the images in here are gorgeous, and I would totally use them for decoration. So I keep the pages that I tear away each day, and I keep them and I cut them down so that the Japanese text at the bottom falls off. And then I just have these images that I can stick down or like use some little washi dots, etc. And that way I have a little bit of decoration. Sometimes I'll do this where I cut up the calendar page even further and like, rearrange it a bit. But yeah, that's a nice thing. It's nice to do. In the back, I have a couple notes pages. I use these for the journaling that I do not want to show on the internet. Just some, private thoughts when I'm trying to work through some feelings. That sounds bigger than it is, but sometimes it's just nice to not have to worry about having to blur out specific entries from my A5 journal where I do most of my journaling. So now when I start journaling, I think about, is this something that I'd be comfortable if it's on the internet? A lot of people can't read it anyway because I do most of my journaling in Dutch. So I guess that's sometimes a bit of an advantage, I guess. But, it's still out there. It's still visible in the video. So when I know that it's something that I wouldn't want that I would want to blur out if I recorded it, then I'll just write it in the back here. And so far that's been working really nice. I haven't done a lot of entries in here, but that's okay. I mean, it doesn't have that many notes pages, so that's fine. And what I'm doing in the front pages, I use this page to track my mood. I do a little dot on a 1 to 5 scale for every day. I haven't connected the dots for February yet, but I have filled them out every day. And they correspond to these days, obviously. And these are, what I'm doing here is basically, I've defined sort of 5 moods, which is a sort of peaceful, relaxed mood. That's just, I consider that a mood where I'm feeling good. It's a positive mood. I'm not particularly productive, particularly excited or energized, but I'm just feeling good. It's just, there's sort of a peace of mind. It's usually days on the weekend, but it can also just be a work day when I'm just, I'm not moving mountains, but I'm also not fighting any anxiety, fighting any stress. I'm just, it's a nice sort of balanced state of mind. Then we have yellow. Yellow is excited, energized. It's usually the days when I'm most productive, but it can also be a weekend day when I'm just really excited about something that I'm going to do. Whether that's, I'm very optimistic about getting a lot done in terms of cleaning and chores in and around the house, but it can also be, we're going to the zoo and I'm just really looking forward to it. Then we have stressed, anxious. These are usually the days when I'm feeling antsy, restless, unfocused, or just stressed or anxious in general. Then we have the blue ones. Those are, I threw a couple moods together that I don't really mind, using one specific color for. It is when I'm feeling really tired, when I'm feeling a bit down, a bit sad maybe. It can also be when I'm feeling a bit under the weather. And those are all very different things. But what I do is I write a little entry in each box to specify why I was feeling that way, or like what type of mood, sort of subtype of the mood that I was having that day. And that way I can really see that, when I'm anxious or stressed, like, why was that? Did I have too much to do, or was there something happening the day after that I was just, that I was not looking forward to, that I was feeling anxious about, or did something bad happen? You know, that way I can sort of analyze why I'm feeling that way. And then we also have gray, and gray is sort of a weird mood. It's when I'm feeling very neutral, but not neutral necessarily in a good sense. It's more like I don't really care about this day. The day is sort of very forgettable. Like I'm neither feeling good nor bad. It's just there. So I see that all three of the gray days started with kind of okay. So I guess that sort of sums it up. And what I was doing in January was coloring these in with colored pencil, and I absolutely hated that. It wasn't a fun thing to do. It looks awful, as in it's very scratchy. You can obviously make it look prettier, but that'll just take a lot more time. I also picked like a very weird color green for this. Like the contrast between yellow and green is just not there. So I figured I would change this up and just do it with a Tombow dual brush pen that I can just, like scribble with and like make a little swatch, and then I can write over it. And I'm gonna change up the color palette for next month a little bit, just to keep it fresh. But I'm really looking forward each day to filling this in. It takes me very little time, but I do think it looks nice. But not only does it look nice because it's not necessarily a decorative page, it's not there for decorative purposes, but I really want to, like at the end of March, I want to look back at the first quarter of the year and think about like, why was I always stressed on a Wednesday, for example? Or what can I learn from the days where I am feeling very productive? Like, what got me to that point? Does it feel random, or can I discover some sort of pattern or criteria that maybe I always got a lot of hours of sleep before that? That would make a lot of sense. But I really want to have the data to be able to analyze that and look back and learn from it, because it's inevitable to feel stressed or tired or down a couple days. But I do want to realize how far my own influence goes. Like how many of those days could I potentially turn from like a red or blue day to a green or a yellow day? Because if I can, then I would love to do that, because those days I'm just like feeling better than other days. So that's basically what my little mood tracker is for. And that is this planner, I think. And then we have this big boy. And this is the sterlingink Common Planner in A5. And I've been using this one every single day. And I'm really, really enjoying this. This is like, if I could only carry over one planner or journal for next year, it would definitely be this one. This is exactly what I was looking for. So I am so happy that I got this one. So let's see. For January, February, I tracked my productive hours in light gray. I changed it a bit. In January, I did focused work, and in February, it's more focused time. So that can also be, let's say, doing some language learning or doing some reading. That is just, that's time after work, but it's still time when I try to focus, and that I'm using also to improve the amount of hours that I can focus every day. And then I've tracked my sleep with the black line, and my sleep is all over the place basically, but it's not really bad. It's not a bad thing. I feel like there are some days when I just don't sleep well, and there are some days when I sleep a little longer than I was expecting to. but I feel like the average is quite fine. Then this page is my habit tracker, and I think it looks really nice, but it's also making me realize that there are a lot of habits that could use some extra attention. So I don't want to go too much into detail about every habit, but I feel like I should maybe pick one of the habits for each month and really try and see when do I want to do this on a specific day. You know, maybe if I'm looking at the week, I can identify, okay, for Saturday, I'm not going to be at home for the entire day, so it's okay if I skip a day. But for the other days, like, when am I going to do it? Because I don't want to be too strict about having to do all of these things every day. It doesn't have to feel like that. But on the other hand, I do want to do all of these things most of the days. So for example, playing the piano, it is completely fine if I play the piano 5 days out of 7. But I do want to play the piano more, because right now I'm usually doing it like once or twice a week. And that's fine if it's just for, you know, a little bit of relaxation. But I do want to, you know, improve my piano skills, and you don't really improve much if you're playing that little. So there is a reason for all of these habits to track them and to want to do them more frequently. So that's the habit tracker. And then we have the monthly calendar. I usually fill this one out at the beginning of the month, just with the things that I know are coming up. And then I add to it as the days go by. I haven't filled out much for next month, but that's okay. I have filled in that Sunday it's my partner's birthday, which is nice. And yeah, let's see. There's not really, like, for the rest, it's just, you know, a boring monthly calendar. I don't really do anything spectacular with this page. The pages that I'm getting the most use of are these, and these are the vertical weeklies. Now, I was never really a vertical weekly person. When I got my first Hobonichi cousin in, I think it was 2021, maybe? It could have been 2020, but no, I think it was 2021. Yeah, I got my first Hobonichi cousin, and I struggled a lot with the weekly pages. I tried using it for a bit of sort of memory keeping. I also tried to use it for scheduling in like appointments and sort of time blocking my day. I have found that I do not like the narrow columns in combination with the timeline. However, if I just ignore the timeline, then these are 7 perfect lists. So I just use them for to-do lists, and that leaves me with a lot of space for decoration, and that is just how I like using these pages. I like looking at them. They, you know, make me feel calm and collected, and you know, it's just it works for me. So I'm just using a different type of decoration each, a different style of decoration, I guess, each week. And it doesn't take me too long to set up. It's usually something I look forward to doing, like either on a Saturday or a Sunday. I just go in and decorate the next week. I mostly use these strips of washi at the top to create a bit of a divider so that I can sort of put my focus, the things that I want to focus on the most that day, at the top. But I don't always fill these out in the end. So sometimes it's just for, you know, for decoration. But I do always use these to-do lists. I know I don't really like this one. I mean, this sticker in the middle is really cool, but otherwise I feel like the dark blue washi I used is too, you know, has too much visual weight over the stickers. I do like this one. It looks really cute. This washi tape by Murren Kunst is chef's kiss. And this one is also, like, it was so funny because this week looks super spring-like and sunny, but this was such a gray and depressing week weather-wise that I was just craving spring. So I figured, I'm just gonna use all of these super bright spring flowers to just pretend it's spring, even though it's clearly not. The weekend we didn't have a lot of time. I think this is when we visited my parents, so I didn't have a lot of time for to-dos, but that's also fine. I just left it blank. Last week I didn't use this a lot. I kind of was in a very short planner slump, it seemed. Probably because I had so much to do, which sounds really counterintuitive that you're not using your planner for to-do list when you have a ton of things to do. But I do feel like that is something that I hear from other planner people as well. So that is just a reminder that I was not really doing all that well because I was constantly forgetting things. And, clearly I could have prevented that if I just used this page and actually written down what I had to do. But that is just a little lesson, a little reminder. This week, I've tried something new and actually planned sort of everything I have to do for the entire week. I don't know if I am going to like that because it doesn't leave me with a lot of flexibility, but it does feel nice to sort of already know what I have to do on, Friday morning, even though that's in like 3 days because today's Tuesday. So for now, I'm kind of liking it. And I finally used some of the stickers and PT tape that I got from my sister from when she went to Japan last summer, I think. Was it summer? I don't know. Let's see. Then we have the daily journal pages. And I quickly discovered that writing an entire A5 page a day is quite a bit of work. So here, I still, this was the Christmas holiday, so I had a lot more time. So I wrote, an entire page a day. But then at some point, I didn't, and I just left some of the page empty. But I really, really don't like that. I don't enjoy white space in my planner. So let's see, not here, but here I started experimenting a bit with doing 2 days on a page. I skipped a couple days. Here I did even 4 days on an entire spread. Here I did have some empty space. Then we have this one. Here I did something weird with my columns. But this is just where I do, a bit of daily journaling. And it is also a place where I can use any type of decoration that I feel like using. So if I'm like here, I was looking through my London Gifties PT tapes and I came across these fox stickers and they are so, so, so beautiful. So I really, really wanted to use them. And I was writing at the time with a dark blue ink. I think this is Monteverde Zebra. And it just paired so well together. Here I did a bit of a more collage-y spread, which is not usually something that I do. I love it. I think I was watching Bronte Swanwick's video somewhere during this week, and she has the most impeccable collage style. And I just wanted to do a bit of that. But it's actually like, I always feel like with collaging, it's so much more difficult than it looks. Like, you think you just stick some things to the page, but very easily it will look either too cluttered or just not cohesive, or the visual weight of the entire page will be completely off. But I think this looks really cute. Here, used very minimal decoration, just 2 stickers. And then this is where we are today. So in almost 2 months, I have used up only 24 pages. So that means that if I keep going at this pace, I will only need half of the notes pages for this year. So what I've decided, at least for this year, is that I'm just going to use these pages also for other things, just other collections, lists, reflections, brain dumping, all of those things that I now often do just on scrap paper, especially if I know that I don't really mind about not keeping them. But I mean, if I have the room, if I have the space, if I have nice paper, then why not just do that in here as well? And for next year, yes, I am already thinking about next year because, it's good to use the first months to also learn about, what works and what doesn't. So for next year, I might consider getting the compact version. I hope sterlingink comes out with another common planner, and I hope it's more or less the same as this one because I'm really enjoying it. But I might get a smaller one that just has less room, or I might use it from the get-go for different things as well. Maybe one thing I'm considering is starting from the back pages, from the pages in the back with like other collections, and then the journaling from the front and see where the two meet, if they ever meet before the end of the year. That could be a nice thing to do. But yeah, that is how I use my planners in the first 2 months of the year. I feel like I am starting to get closer to planner peace. I haven't really felt the need to planner hop, which is something that I was afraid of that was going to happen. But so far, I have only, started decreasing the amount of planners that I was using without feeling the need to add to the system. So yes, my media journal has sort of fallen off the wagon, but I'm not going to replace it with something else. I'm just going to use the space that I already have to integrate the things that I was doing in my media journal that I do want to keep doing, and the things that didn't bring me joy, that were just too much work to do, or that just felt a bit pointless, or that I would have liked to have but not to actually create, if that makes sense. I always think that I really want to write reviews about the shows I watch, the movies I watch, the new albums that I listen to from my favorite bands. But in the end, all of these things, when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, when we are done, tomorrow I'm gonna, print out a nice picture and I'm just gonna write some things about the movie. But then ultimately I never do. And I thought that having a dedicated media journal would sort of incentivize me to actually go in and do that. But I didn't, and maybe I'm just not the person who enjoys doing that. And I would love to, have it, to have that review and to be able to look back on, all of the films that I watched that year and what I thought about that with, a nice little picture for all of them. But maybe I'm just not that person. So why make it another thing that I have to do on my to-do list instead of just, saying goodbye to the media journal? So yeah, for now, these planners together work really, really well. And obviously there's also some journals that I'm keeping, like my commonplace journal, my ink journal, but those are not really dated. They are not dated, and it's okay if I don't do anything in them for weeks and then write a lot in them the weeks after that. So that is why I didn't include them in this video, but I will do an update video on those journals as well at some point. I think that is it for now. I've been talking for almost 35 minutes. Wow. I am starting to feel my throat a bit. If you have any questions about how I'm using my journals or any of the things that I used somewhere on these pages that you want to know what it is or where it's from, then feel free to drop a comment. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel and you haven't done that yet, then this is your little reminder to do so. And I will hopefully see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.